Toes. Nom, 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 nom. Hello, my friends. Folks, we've got a good day today.
Toes.
Hello, welcome. How's it going? Twitch only. Don't tell me I'm streaming to the wrong channel on YouTube. Nah, I think that's looking okay. YouTube, where are you at? I see YouTube having questions on my end. Nobody on YouTube can confirm. You can't see me now? That's a good episode of Bob's. I don't know. I see folks on YouTube. Y'all there? Just had to refresh? You good? Please tell me you're good, man. Don't freak me out like that. Sometimes it'd be like that. All right, we just got a little bit of lag on their end. It's okay, folks. It's okay. Grab your tea. Cheers. It's good. We're good. It's a Friday kind of day for YouTube. I understand. Well, we do have the tea. Feeling good. I got my tea mug. Management sent over some repair. I had the broken earmuff thing pad. So this thing was like falling apart, and management got me hooked up with some like nice new gel ones. Very good. Just released a new video about quantum and the economy in 323. Ooh, it's a fun video. We'll see how that goes down. And we're about to go and look at a pretty good looking monthly report, folks. The monthly report, I've skimmed it. I did a little looking. I mean, I had to because management, you know? No, seriously, came in with an order today. It was like, here you go. It was a gift, but it was also a great gift. And I love gifts in the office. That sounded bad. So we're going to look at a really nice monthly report today with some good news. Like I said, I had to look into it because of the quantum stuff. You will understand what I mean.
Thank you very much.
But before we do that, I want to check out Inside Star Citizen from a couple days ago, or yesterday, I guess, because I didn't watch it, and I don't even know what it's about. Myth just came back in. Jesus, Myth. Who are my friend? Good Lord. The guy left with subs and arrived with subs. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate you. Thanks for coming in. I hope you had a wonderful couple of days without tomatoes. I saw somebody was enjoying tomato at work. Good for you. That's healthy. It's great for your bones. I'm sorry. I'm trying to plug in some audio. There we go. Okay. I couldn't hear you guys. Yeah, tomatoes are good for you at work. Make sure to eat those up. Extra solid. Or just put it on your second or third monitor. Whatever you like to do with your tomatoes, that's fine. Just, you know, keep it around. It's good for you. Just watch the video, Dark Hall. What'd you think? What did you think of the video? Give me a commentary, because I know I'm very nervous putting this video out. You said you have your T start now. Didn't start. We need to discuss your priorities. Actually, 9 minutes ago was about the time that the start now timer started. So technically, it's kind of right on time. Star Citizen Live, Tomato Stream, and book to read. Too much to do. I don't even... Yeah, what's Star Citizen Live about today? We're about to go into Star Citizen Inside, and then the monthly report, and then Star Citizen Live is going to be after that. It's going to be a good night. Oh boy, friends. And then we got podcast tomorrow. Supporters, we got a good podcast tomorrow, let me tell you. I'll have it scheduled and up soon-ish. But you're going to want to go. Hey, Chris. Yes, this is absolutely live. Let's hear what... Okay, Frisch, I'm going to have to hold your sing mode. Mrs. Tomato, we're taking that off. We're taking sing mode off. Frisch is the only one who does it. I'm going to... I'm going to watch this first, and then I'll do your singing stuff. Just remind me. Let's get into this. Inside Star Citizen this week. I don't even know what it's about. Whatever.
Alpha 323 is just around the corner, and that means it's time for Patch Dispatch 323, where we run down all the new features and content included in what could be Star Citizen's biggest patch yet. So let's just jump right into things.
Don't disgrace 3.0 like that, okay? It's a big patch, but 3.0 is still our baby. Maybe 4.0 will do it. No! I'm not a singer. I'm a whistler, and nobody wants me to whistle on the microphone.
And we'll start with life in the first person. And in 323,
Okay,
life
so this is just an overview of the patch, kind of?
begins with a newly expanded and revamped character customizer,
Beards?
letting you create more
Hairs?
dynamic and representative
Eyeballs?
avatars than ever before.
Are the eyeballs
A
moist?
new beginning that will
Would you guys say that they met the quota for moistness on these eyeballs? Look at the way they shift. Is it like... Because remember, that was a big deal. I could go back to the ISC where they talked about moist eyeballs. In fact, it's too late. We've gotten started. Shout out to Starchive's amazing resource. Go check it out and use it if you ever want to find something in Star Citizen's history. Great website. All right, here we go. Give us the moist eyeballs.
Textures, and you guessed it, moist eyeballs.
There we go.
There's-
So that was what, 2 years ago? 2022? I know they already put that in the game, but are these eyeballs moist enough? Are we there? Can we move on from moist eyeball tech back to bedsheet tech?
before. A new beginning that will continue to evolve with additional features and options in subsequent patches.
Yo, Radicus, thank you for the
Now
sub.
let's discuss
14
all the
months,
major
appreciate you.
improvements that directly affect your character, starting with the new
Also, can I just say for everybody who was here in the last stream, thank you for allowing me to set my stream goal to 420. It's appreciated.
New Mobi-Glass. Now, unlike Eobard Thawne, we finally killed the Flash, as the new Mobi-Glass finally makes its in-universe debut with a revamped layout and new features.
Just get a reverse Flash joke on Star Citizen. Jared. That's great. I do like the Mobi-Glass. It's growing on me. I think in the last stream I was talking about how it's looking better. I think it's like a bit of the rendering and the lines and maybe resolution that helps the Mobi-Glass look better or makes the UI look better. Because at first it looked really kind of meh. And then lately it started to look a lot more, oh wow, this is nice. It's looking good. So keep it up. Keep going. That's good.
Now, unlike Eobard Thawne, we finally killed the Flash, as the new Mobi-Glass finally makes its in-universe debut with a revamped layout and new features like the health and contract manager apps to help you stay alive and find work respectively.
Thank God for polish.
It also includes the long-awaited and hotly anticipated new Maps app, combining the new star map and interior map experiences into one unified interface, with an entire host of new functionalities designed to help you find your way through landing zones, space stations, and the entire verse as a whole.
Can I just say that the map is great, and I'm in love with it. It's fantastic. I'm enjoying what we have so far. It's obviously not quite featured to where we want it to be. But I think it's a really good addition, and it works well. Yeah, it looks great, all that stuff, but it kind of dampens it, you know? It just kind of dampens it a little bit that toes. You don't have like the planetary side of it, or you don't have the ability to set markers. Like, it still is an unfinished feature, and like it's still the reality that we're at that point. I'm glad that it's in when it's in, because I would prefer we get it now without those parts of the feature than waiting another year to get all of those features in on the map. It's just a bummer because all of that together would have been such a freaking killer drop. Like, that would have been amazing. That would have kickstarted exploration gameplay. I actually literally have a script written for that and just didn't end up turning it into a video because the 323 edition of the map wasn't as big as I'd hoped. And that's covering Star Citizen for you. Colt, thank you for the subs, mate.
Oh, and that work also touches the new lens and visor updates with a great new mini-map that appears now in the upper left corner. Your days of not finding your way around are soon behind you. Unless you're a specific person who won't be named. You know who you are. Of course, when you're traveling through the verse, Alpha 323 has a whole new array of improvements to how you'll interact with the world around you, starting with a revamped player interaction system that's more nimble and customizable than ever before. Default item actions that let you keep your customizations exactly how you want them.
These are unfortunately also not quite where they're supposed to be in terms of like the physical interaction you're supposed to get as well. But they're definitely a good touch.
A new shopping interface that streamlines the experience so you can get what you want and go. And new looting screens to improve your alternate and more violent shopping experience. And speaking of which, there's lots of new improvements to the way you bring first-person murder, death, kill to your fellow citizens in the verse, including scope magnification updates, ammo repooling and backpack reloading, ADS tuning, and the new dynamic crosshair on specialized helmets so you can fire straight from the hip in-game, and not just from the comfort of your YouTube comments.
The YouTube comments are my safe space, dude. I would say I've experienced less helmets with the dynamic crosshair than without it. Yeah, like most of the helmets I've run into have been without the dynamic crosshair, and I actually don't think I've used it yet. So if you don't want it, it's actually pretty easy to avoid, even if you don't want to just turn it off. Radikusu, I also see you got a membership on YouTube. What a homie, thank you.
And your first-person life doesn't end there. because Alpha 323 allows you to take the fight to 0G with the newly revamped EVA mechanics.
Best
changing
feature,
the way you
best
traverse
feature
the
launch.
verse outside your spacecraft and vehicle.
Like, we don't get to enjoy features that just kind of work whenever you use them, but this one does. I would say there's a little bit of wonkiness when you're EVAing from the side to side, but other than that, fantastic feature launch EVA.
Speaking of your spacecraft or vehicles, the Alpha 323 season also includes new ways to house, load, and launch your ships with the new personal persistent hangars coming to ArcCorp, Hurston, Microtech, and Orizen in a 323X patch this quarter.
Still including it here.
Which also includes item banks to grab your stuff, vehicle platforms to raise your ships, and freight elevators to load them before takeoff. Of course, once you take off, you'll find a new way to fly with master modes and a new way to fight with precision targeting and weapon mount and gimbal changes, meaning space combat's got its next evolution in Alpha 323.
It's gonna need some tuning, but it's a different kind of game. But it works. It does. Well, it works for combat. We'll see what happens with master modes and all the other ships. I'm looking forward to eventually seeing this experimental mode put into other things, but it feels like we're gonna have to wait for the PU to see how master modes affects everybody else. But as far as it goes for balancing combat, which arguably is the most important part when it comes to the close range flight model, it seems to work. I'd like to see what they're going to do more with navigation mode, with 1200 meters per second flight, with quantum boost, with our ability, like, you have to understand, quantum boost is the ability to press a button and enter quantum travel. You don't even have to really spool up. You kind of just, as far as I'm aware, if you're in nav mode already, you just press the button and you're going. So they could probably do a lot more with the navigation mode of master modes than they've let on. And I'm looking forward to seeing what they have to say about that, because I think that's going to have a much greater effect on all of us than what we've been debating about nonstop so far.
Flying in the PU isn't enough, or you simply want a safe place to practice the changes. Well, there's a whole host of new maps and experimental modes in Arena Commander 323 that we covered here in detail just last week. Then back in the persistent universe and down planet side, you'll find the new distribution centers with a variety of mission and gameplay opportunities for all manner of playstyles.
I still haven't really gotten to experience
added
that.
Dangers of the Marok Copian,
Or
Star
that.
Citizen's first fauna being added to Alpha 323.
Is this the offline build?
Dangerous? Just wait until they add poop mechanics.
No poop mechanics for birds? How about us? Tell us about us. How do we poop? Been holding it in for like 10 years. I've been holding the poop.
Exciting new technological improvements like our initial implementation of Vulcan. New
You know, like instead of the line?
FSR, TSR,
Sorry, I shouldn't have explained it. It's just dumb.
and the new water rendering and simulation tech that will make Star Citizen look even better than ever before.
But Star Citizen's graphics are gonna be outdated by the time it launches because the Unreal Engine 5 and the 3D monitors are gonna. Why is that? Every single year since I started following Star Citizen, it's gonna be graphically outdated, and then every single year they're working on the rendering engine that means it's not.
And then under the hood, with the new replication layer split in 323, players no longer connect directly to the game servers and instead to the hybrid service, which hosts the replication layer, which then itself maintains the state of the game.
Is this gonna work out for us? Is that gonna be okay?
This means that the loss of a server can be recovered from without the players being disconnected from the game or losing their progress.
I don't know. I feel like, I hope this is not what was causing all the issues with the PTU, because the PTU was bad for a long time with the whole server lag stuff going on, and I really hope that it doesn't come back when it goes to live. That's gonna look. My mug is small. It's got a planet on it though. Please. The clouds are not still flickering if you put it on reference mode. Unfortunately, that most graphics cards can't run that very well. But they finally got the clouds to not flicker. You just basically, you're going to see them flicker in gameplay.
It's the stage for multiple game servers sharing a single hybrid replication layer in the server mesh coming online with Alpha 4.0. So all in all, there's more things in Alpha 323 than you can shake a stick at, but there's actually even more, as this branch not only includes all the hangar and cargo improvements we discussed earlier, it also contains the next iteration of Invictus Launch Week, which is actually 2 weeks because we're all super extra here. And we'll introduce a handful of new ships and vehicles folks have been waiting for, as well as one straight-to-flyable that's available with 323 launch. So let's learn more from John, Ben, and Alberto.
Wait, hold on. It said 1300 speed when it was recovering? As in they sped it up times 1300?
Now means that the loss of a server can be recovered from without...
Oh, yeah. Okay. I mean, that's accurate from what I've experienced. Takes like 3-4 minutes. It'll get better. Like, this is still the first live launch of it, which is okay, but it's not fun. Like, it's still Star Citizen. It's still it still kind of ruins your session. Nah, it doesn't ruin your session. I won't say that. It's nice that you don't get kicked out of the game. That is great. I don't want to sell that short, because you do a lot to prepare for the game. Having that all still be there after the crash is great. So I won't. That's good. That's good news. It's just a long time, which is a bummer. But yeah, the idea that you actually stay in the game is actually a really big deal. So overall, solid win.
Alberto.
It's much better than a 30K. These, on the other hand, I don't know. Let's see if they can sell me on the looks of these. They look good to me in some angles, and then other angles, not so much.
The Mirai Pulse is Mirai's entry into the ground grav-bike category.
Is a new racing vehicle from Mirai. It kind of builds on some of their kind of core values as a brand of MISC, focusing more on performance. It takes a lot of inspiration, should we say, from the Razor, and really kind of shrinks that kind of thrill speed down.
The Razor, huh?
So the role of grav-led vehicles in the game, and especially hover bikes, it allows you to...
I do think it would have been cool if it looked a bit more like the Razor. This has a cool aesthetic going for it. Like, I'm not a big fan of the design, but I feel like the design looks good. It does what it's trying to do pretty well. But wouldn't it have been cool if they had gone for like a more Razor look? Something akin to like the special bike from Tron Legacy. Can I just type in special bike from Tron Legacy? Are you good enough for that, Google? It's been like 15 years. You must be able to do that. Oh no, it did not get what I meant. It's telling me the Ducati. I want to know the special light bike, the cool bike. Oh my gosh. Yeah, this one. No, that's not what I thought it was. That's different. I thought it was more angular. But something that looks kind of like the Mirai Razor, I think would have looked pretty cool too. I don't know. Do you guys see some similarities here? I'm not a doctor, so maybe I'm just missing it. Between that and this. You seeing that? You seeing anything there? They both got thrusters on them. There's some things that look alike. All right. You know what? I hope that Morphologists, can you give us an architect review of this and tell me? Can you let us know how the design rolls over? Because that's great. That'd be fantastic if like the little subtle things did roll over and it does fit. I can't really see it. Put the same paint on it. Maybe I can, but either way, let's get back to it.
So the role of grav-led vehicles in the game, and especially hover bikes, it allows you to, you've got a mission in mind. Perhaps you don't want to risk bringing your ship or larger vehicle right up to it. It allows you to park some distance away, out of radar range, out of line of sight, and then infiltrate stealthily.
That thing's
speedily
tiny.
towards the target location. And of course, as features like weather comes online and more diverse and hazardous biomes such as heavily dense forests, grav-live vehicles, bikes will become more useful as ways to get closer to your target without damaging ships.
The only time that they've ever dipped into that is way back during, I want to say, CitizenCon 2016. And it was super brief when they did it. But with all things that they did in these demos, they're coming back to it.
Eventually you could get a mission where you get a distress beacon and you're going to find out on, you know, in this particular case, this planet. So we're heading towards it. So I think this is telling us the atmospheric conditions are unsafe. And one of the key gameplay things we want to do because obviously the planetary tech is going to allow us to have a whole bunch of play areas we don't normally have, is to encourage players not to always, you know, maybe you can't always fly there. Maybe you have to get out and use your rover, for instance, which you have in a color. So it's fine. Let's go find a landing zone that's on the edge of the desert plain.
So these demos that they used to do for CitizenCon, they used to fake them. And like they've gotten a lot of flack for that, especially this one. That was this is probably the biggest thing I think that Star Citizen is known for, kind of faking in a demo and just not ever showing up with. But they come back to them. One of the, I think the most topical moments of that is the water mechanics in this current patch that we're getting. This is something Chris Roberts mentioned in the Hurston segment of the CitizenCon 2017, I think. Yeah, CitizenCon 2017 demo. And he's like, yeah, you're gonna fly over the water and your ship's gonna make the waves come up behind you, and you're just sitting there like, dude, what? Like this, do the other things. And then 7 years later, here we are, and they're putting the freaking water stuff in the game. So I think they'll come back to things like that sandworm. But the weather, I hope, makes it a big deal to use things like these hover bikes and stuff, because I would like to have more excuses to use ground vehicles. Really freaking would. Uh-oh. Did I just break something? Okay.
The Pulse is our smallest ground vehicle. It was a intentional design choice to make something as small and compact and as fast as possible. And Mirai as a brand sort of fits that performance ideology.
It needs to be small. It needs to be small, fast, agile, and really that just kind of gives us a much greater opportunity of how the players can really experience that sense of speed on one of our ground vehicles.
So the Pulse comes in two flavors. We've got the base version, which comes equipped with a custom laser Gatling on the front. And then you have the LX, which is the dedicated racing version. It loses that front weapon, replaces it with a big intake. You get extra thrusters. So out of all the grav-lev bikes, it is one of the most agile there.
Nice. Okay, I'll check that out. I do like that green design more.
The reason it's so
striking.
small and compact is we wanted it to have the most compatible.
Is that 3 in a Argo cargo? Holy crap, that thing is small. I got on this thing in Arena Commander, but I didn't get a good feel for it because I couldn't get off. I could only stay on it and ride around. This thing's freaking tiny. Dang. Like, we're getting into space scooter territory, right? We're getting away from hover bikes into hover scooters, and I feel like that's going to be great for running the cool trip to get some coffee from the nearby moon.
The reason it's
take a while.
small and compact is we wanted it to have the most compatibility with all of our other vehicles in game. So by being compact, allows you to pretty much stuff it into every single other vehicle in existence in the game.
Size-wise, I think it's just over 2.5 meters in length, so it is tiny. To put that
You
into some
can get it in an
perspective,
Aurora?
It's, a tiny bit longer than 2 SCU of cargo, so it is very small.
I'm sure there will be 1 or 2 vehicles out there where it doesn't fit in, maybe such as the MPUV. but across the board, it's designed to get in a lot of other vehicles.
I completely missed that in my first impressions video. That's such a freaking huge benefit. That's crazy. That is nuts. You can fit that anywhere. And it has internal storage, so you basically have an extra little mule of storage that you can take around with you on ground exploration when that matters.
My favorite thing about the Pulse series is just the way we've integrated all the components together into that incredibly tight chassis.
We tried to kind of fuse the idea of a sport.
Okay. It does feel, that feels very like what I would expect a motorcycle to look like. If just based on how they do this stuff in real motorcycles, I never put one together, but I've ridden some for a while and know where some of the components are, and it feels like that's kind of how they do it compared to the other hover bikes we have in this game, at least.
My favorite thing about the Pulse series is just the way we've integrated all the components together into that.
But I want camera controls like this for the game. These are some nice camera shots.
Use the idea of a sports bike, but almost, I think they're called like naked bikes. So we wanted it to feel still quite aggressive and quite kind of chunky, almost like a bobber. But we kind of really wanted that sleekness that Mirai and the brand as a whole kind of is known for. One of the, I guess, biggest kind of challenges that our like Alberto and the concept team really had to work on, which then turned our production artists and kind of gave them a few things to scratch their head against, is really fitting all of the ship items and the components into a vehicle of this size.
As we never did anything so small, new problems come along.
You know, I kind of like this concept art more. Actually, that's how it always is, right? I think the color scheme maybe is it black on the side, the bottom side of the red one there? Yeah, it is. Huh. Just it's a render.
And all of the...
As we never did anything so small, new problems come along. I decided to take the same approach of a motorbike. We tried to insert most of the components in what will be the fuel tank. And with this approach, we kept the same shape, the same main shape of a motorbike. So we have very fluid and soft shapes, palindromal, which means that you can flip it and it looks kind of the same.
Man, I wish they made this with a different aesthetic because the design itself is really cool.
And then we added the front part just to connect the semiotic of the racing vehicles to this one. We were really tight to the size because it can fit in a container, and that created a huge challenge with how the components move when you actually have to expose them. So that dictated actually the shape we ended up with, and I'm really happy with the final result because
Luna Maria, you like the green one?
Such a small vehicle, there are so many components.
Sleek is pushing it. That's yeah.
The Pulse is, it trades durability for speed and agility. So compared to say like the Dragonfly and the Hover Quad, which are relatively tanky, not as good there.
The Nox is more tense and definitely bigger. Mirai tries to simplify things a bit. Less is more. We tried to have a different approach compared to...
Chimera mentioning that there's not much thrust directed downwards. Good point. But at the same time, the maneuvering thrusters in this game are ridiculously overpowered. So it fits the simulation that they're running with these thrusters, but it does look really weird because there's not a lot of thrust going downward. That's the problem with the spaceships too. Like, hopefully we'll start to see some better VFX when it comes to hovering in spaceships. You kind of see that with the water, but from like the thrust plume and the dust, stuff like that, it all looks a little bit not intense enough in this game. So I hope that improves. Jared, thank you for the super chat. Much love, appreciate you.
Most of racing vehicles and communicate speed through mass and not through aerodynamics, although we keep aerodynamics in consideration for this kind of stuff.
In terms of the Nox and the X1, it is right up there in speed and agility. So they all trade different speed attributes in terms of straight line speed, cornering speed.
This thing's as fast as the Nox. I'll trade my Nox for it. There you go. Can go down in bunkers.
And the bespoke weapon on the front of the base model is our first laser Gatling in the game. So we're looking forward to see how that performs.
Why are they giving us the bad ideas already?
23, 2 variants of it. Looking forward to seeing all the different scenarios you're going to get it into.
Did I say it's small? It's really, really small. And goes really, really fast.
Okay, that's good.
See the memes coming?
So what did we learn this week? Well, hopefully we were reminded of all the great work the combined Star Citizen and Squadron 42 teams have been working on that make their way to the persistent universe in Alpha 323. That like any and every other feature in Star Citizen, the work doesn't stop here and will continue to iterate and evolve in subsequent releases. And that the Mirai Pulse is this teeny tiny hover bike that can fit into all sorts of places and may just be John Griffith's and James Kay's worst nightmares when players try to squeeze them deep down into the distribution centers. For Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckabee. Thanks for letting us share the process of game development with you, and we'll see you all here next week.
All right, so definitely it's a vehicle. These Inside Star Citizens, I'm going to say this. These Inside Star Citizens are way more markety when it comes to the way they cover the ships than they used to be. Those are beautiful. God, Tommy, those are beautiful shots of that bike. Like compared to the. Hold on a second. Just avoiding that one, closing the window. The shots on these ships are so nice. Like I like my mind about this thing completely changed over the course of this. Not necessarily because it's better looking than I thought it was. It still isn't quite the design for me. But they showed all of the really, really nice angles from all the best ways with the coolest music. And I think that's, you know, it's intentional, of course, but it's crazy how much different their Inside Star Citizen is than when it first started out. Much more put together. This is a cool vehicle just because of how small it is. It's still hover bikes in this game are still a pain to use after all this time and multiple updates. They're still just, they're not quite there. Like they're definitely better. They're usable. And they can get you from point A to point B. They're actually fun to fight with. They just float so much, and I get why. It's like, it's probably really hard to make it a hover bike and make it work with how much the terrain changes in this game, but I hope that they can bring it in line really soon, because hover bikes are cool, and this could be the best game for them, but right now, they're still a little hard to use, and with server meshing not here, the game has trouble supporting them. But that's it for Inside Star Citizen. Let's talk about the monthly report. Oh, this should be fun.
You rock. You know
hey, Gozlaw, thank you for the super chat, mate. Unnecessary hover bike fund. Get one you know you want to, even if you don't need one. This is the way. I appreciate you, buddy. I'm probably going to do it in a game. I mean, I think that looks like a great in-game pickup. Everybody should have a small hover vehicle with them in their ship whenever they're going out, and this looks like one of the best candidates now. What are we going to listen to while we're going over this? What's something? Where's that one song? I really like that this one. Yeah, cool. Okay. Ooh, I almost just stopped the stream. Oh, bless these hands. They're quicker than my brain. Let's talk about the monthly report. It's April, so we're kind of in the thick of it. Granted, 323 is coming out a little bit later than it's May. It's not April. What am I talking about? It's May. So we are definitely getting into the thick of it. May is one of the busiest months for Star Citizen. It is going to be a hectic summer, I think, because 4.0 is the next patch, it seems like. From what they've been saying, the way they're talking, I think they're switching back to a technology-based update from the time-based updates, kind of like 3.18 was. So however long it takes, the next update sounds like it's 4.0. That's what their messaging is saying to me, but we'll see what they start saying in the next month. But also, that means that a lot of the development going on is for 4.0. A lot of what we're going to see today is 3.23, but I'm betting a lot of it will also be 4.0 kind of stuff, which is very exciting to get to read into. And then next month's monthly report is going to be like all that. That's going to be fun to read. So come by for the next one. But if you're here for this one, thanks for coming through. If you're watching it afterward, hope you're enjoying it just as much. Get your tea. It's going to be thick. Is that due this quarter? 3.23.x? Yes, it will be. I'm guessing June. Probably mid to late June to go live for that. Okay. AI features. Here we go. Throughout April, AI features put significant effort into the Alpha 3.23 release, specifically the Copion creature that will be found across planetary surfaces and in caves that we still haven't found. We're really excited to share this new creature and the gameplay possibilities it provides. Copions are the first of the creatures we have been working on and have posed many challenges during their development. We also had, I bet they were biting them. It's always a problem with dogs. It's not actually, my dog's great, never bites us. She's lovely. She's super gentle. We also had the pleasure of bringing all the hard work of other teams into a cohesive whole AI features team. New features added for creatures include ground alignment tech, which allows them to appear correctly situated when moving across the terrain, and the ability to attack in formation. The attacks themselves require motion warping and melee attack technology to connect with the player. The team also put a lot of effort into ensuring that these functionalities work well across different environments. Are they good? Has anybody been able to encounter these things? The new fauna? I have yet to find them, so I can't even speak towards them. You guys couldn't even hear this, huh? But seriously, anybody know if these creatures are any good? Plenty of cat dogs in the empty green zones. I don't want to run into a cat dog. Sounds terrifying. You ran into a bunch of birds with your ship. Did it damage your ship? Aster's clearing, okay. Intentional jump scares in a cave hunting them. Oh, seriously? Signusian, why do you have the best gameplay experiences? I need to start tagging along. You haven't updated from 3.16? It's gonna be hard to find out that way. Saw a nest randomly? Huh. Well, oh well. We'll see him at some point. It's a first patch feature. All right, AI tech. Last month, AI tech focused on planetary navigation mesh, with the version implemented recently receiving significant improvements. Firstly, they removed generation limits over planet latitude, which gives stronger coupling with planetary terrain patches, allowing the nav mesh to generate correctly over the planet efficiently. They then improved generation response at lower frame rates so that movement over planets in non-ideal performance scenarios results in acceptable nav mesh generation times. This is a long-term one. Navigation mesh, I think, was 3.17.2. That came in. That was, what, 2 summers ago? During the wait for 3.18? Wait, am I blanking 2023? What freaking patches did we have 2023? That was, yeah, 3.18 and then 3.19. Yeah, so 2 summers ago was 3.17 too. And they've been building on the planetary nav mesh since then. I'm glad it's working enough for Fauna to use it now. The multipath code was then optimized to execute faster, which will result in quicker generation of paths into, out of, and between usables. The team also enabled failure detection code in the movement system component to identify and fix situations where NPCs were standing on usables or out of the nav mesh. Aye. And I don't have much experience with that, to be honest. Another key feature worked on was the Boids system. Boids, used for the new Mirai creature. I don't know if I said that right. April saw the devs improving network synchronization and extending the system to support audio triggers from different agent states. Several optimizations were also made to the overall code. Significant time, read it twice, significant time was spent verifying multiple parts of the AI system after evaluating the ePTU optic profiles. For example, the team optimized some of the navigation code involved in the destruction of navigation links and navigation volumes when larger outposts stream out. You may notice I'm not adding much context to this part because I don't really know what they're talking about that much. Sorry. So we're just kind of scooting through. The Pathfinder was also switched from running using background jobs to batch jobs. The main pool that serves requests was split into two to better serve multipath and standard path searches. Moving the calculation into batch jobs allows an increased number of calculations, which provides much faster results and utilizes more CPU time where available. I know what CPU time is. Utilizing more CPU time, I know that's positive, so that's good. These jobs are lower priorities, so they can always provide space for more urgent calculations and continue work across multiple frames. This should result in quicker response times for NPCs at lower FPS. Okay, see now, that's all you gotta say. You could have just replaced this entire category of text and said, quicker response times for NPCs at lower FPS. Case closed. I'm here for it. I'm good. I agree. I concur. Give them full control. Whoever typed that part. All right, that's good. I don't know what it means, but I hope that does happen because NPCs and servers with low FPS is, God, they're bad. In parallel with supporting Apollo Subsumption Editor, there it is again. AI Tech are also working on a new UX design for their internal tool. Oh, that's exciting. Wait, that's actually really exciting because their internal tool has looked basically the same for like seven. How we go over this every single monthly report for all of you who are here every time, and I see you in chat. I know you're here. What's in that mug? Good tea, Turkish tea. We've got video here from like 2017 looking at the subsumption editor, and then we've got video here from 2023 looking at the subsumption editor, and it's pretty similar, like very similar. So if they're actually working on a new version, that's cool. December sounds reasonable for what? 4.0? Pushed into testing in December? You mean like Evocati testing? It's a quote, man. Write it down in stone. I don't know what it means, but I do hope it happens. In parallel with supporting the Apollo Subsumption Editor, we already read that. Progress was also made on the spaceship combat behavior, which is planned for release in Alpha 3.23. All NPC fighters now use this behavior, which involves them using limited ballistic ammo rather than infinite rounds as before. Love that. Finally, for AI Tech, they implemented point defense cannons that will protect capital ships from incoming missiles. Every single piece of like AI and gameplay functionality that has to do with capital ships that they mention here is going to be gold this year. Because they're gonna start talking about capital ships, I think, a lot. That's gonna be a huge sell for the next couple of years after they get that tech online. Animation! In April, the animation team worked on various creatures, including 2 predators and a prey animal. So, is this more? This is 2 more or 3 more creatures? I hate it when they don't name them, or like they don't specifically say that they haven't named them. Because this prey animal could be the Kazi Grazer, the space cow. Or this could be a completely different prey animal that lives more in the wild. These 2 predators, one of them could be the Copion, right? They could both be the Copion and the Marok. I don't know who these are, so we'll have to see, I guess. They also spent time polishing player movement in space and when prone, which will be live in 3.23, and implemented hit reactions for when AI is out in the open. The facial animation team continued to develop facial animations for various game elements. That's a good line. That's huge. Hold on. I gotta tweet that. I'm sorry, I just said that. Where did they go? That's a great piece of news there. Game changer. Getting ready for the Polaris. Yep. There we go. Gotta invite the people with the big news of the animation team animating. So, 4.0 in December, huh? That's how you're feeling? You not believe in the summer? You wish CIG would let you name the wildlife? They all need scientific Latin names. They don't even have Latin anymore in those years. It's too old. All right, so we are into the art category, which you know what that means. It's like the pseudo ship news category where it's kind of ship news, but it's also just ship art news. So you kind of you read it and you weep, and then you realize it's not everything. So let's not get too carried away when we read the art on the ship side, yeah? But also let's get a little carried away. First characters though. In April, the character art team began work on 2 specialist armors. Oh my god. Reworked a utility armor and supported freaking hell. Request for the character customizer. I hope that utility armor is the Grey Cat. I bet you the rework of this utility armor is adding something specific to it. They're gonna re-release one of these armors, and it's probably gonna have something similar to the dynamic crosshair. This one. We already have this one in game. I hope this is the one they're reworking and they're giving it something specific that makes it like special for utility people. That'd be awesome. And then what was the other thing they said? They're working on 2 specialist armors. Don't know what it could be, but they have done a lot of armor talks in the past, and they've shown us some of their ideas for it, kind of how they want to create utilitarian style armors that look different and have different styles to them. Here's that Grey Cat armor. And this is like an exploration armor that they had. So they've certainly played around. Oh, this is in the game. They've played around a lot with the idea of specialized armor, and they're ready to dive into it from what we've seen with the crosshairs and what they talked about at CitizenCon. Cool to see that the art team's on it. We'll keep an eye on that. The character concept art team continued developing specialist armors and completed handoff sheets, and the hair team kicked off new hairstyles for Alpha 4.0 and undertook R&D on fur. Huh. I guess I didn't think that, like, fur would be different from hair, but there's probably something about it. Like the fact that it's all over the body, maybe? Yeah, we need more utility suits for sure. You're telling not to tell everyone that Zeus is dropping with 323. Yes, let's get to that. So, the ship's team progressed with the RSI Zeus, continuing with the beauty and polish stage. The cockpit is now in gray box complete, which established the standard for the remainder of the ship. The habitation area is receiving the last elements of polish, including resolving the ceiling and personal storage areas. The cargo room ceiling had a pass, and the devs began finalizing the walls. The mess hall is nearing completion, as is the central hallway. Hold on, let's see if we can coordinate, or like, let's see if we can get an idea of what parts of the ship that was.
Beat ship.
All right. So this design has changed since this presentation. But
again, the beginning of the process.
Maybe we can make some calls here. Okay, so you got the cargo bay here, right? I don't even think they mentioned that here. So we'll keep going.
start throwing in cargo, interacting with doors, getting in and out of beds, maybe in and out of toilets, and just getting an overall sense of what it feels like to interact with.
All right, so this looks like your habitation. So this part is receiving the last elements of polish. They're all done with this room, basically,
Vehicle.
art-wise.
And it is very common that in this stage, we will make some adjustments from the original plan. As an example, on this ship, we've just made the decision to expand the center corridor, add a little bit more space.
Mess hall is nearing completion, as they said, and then the central hallway is also nearing completion. So all of this is basically looking like a completed ship compared to what we're seeing
to
here.
the rooms. And as a result, that's going to make it much smoother experience for players to traverse the interior of the ship, as well as for AI to traverse the interior of the ship. We've also expanded the main airlock that leads to the enter-exit ladder.
Then
And
there's
up
this
here
part.
in the cockpit,
Cockpit's gray box. So it's still going to be a little while for the cockpit, I think, because gray box implies that they've got more work to do next month on finalizing and polish, and then probably another month for the check, for the go no go. I won't say that it's going to wait until 4.0, but Zeus is definitely not coming Invictus, and I think it's only coming in the 323 branch if this branch extends out to September, or later. If we do go to 4.0 in August or something, and that does somehow happen, I do think that then the Zeus will just come with 4.0. So like a late summer kind of ship, in my opinion. Work on the exterior also progressed on it too, which now has a significantly increased level of detail throughout. The team are currently going through all their sections to ensure they have the same level of detail. Ships also started looking at lighting, including a pass of every room, and the entire exterior. Following this, it will be outfitted with proper fixtures. Okay. Yeah, I do think they have some surprise ships geared up for this summer, definitely for Invictus. They're going to push hard at Invictus this year. They clearly are, they're tightening their belts. They need to get some good funding this year. They're gearing up for a big launch of Squadron. May is like their second biggest week, I think. It's really easy to confirm. Could always just look at my own YouTube traffic. But if you look up Star Citizen on Google Trends, not Star Citizen, but Star Citizen, and then you do it worldwide, Mr. Worldwide, and then you go and you look at the past, let's say 5 years, you'll see that it peaks right here in May, this week in May, and then this week in November, and then this week in May, and then this week in November. Back here, it's that week in May, and that week in November, and that week in May, and that week in November. So they really, really, really care about November and May. That's why they had to get 323 out early. That's why they're definitely going to be pushing this hard with marketing, with ship sales, with in-game events, with like it's going to be good. It's going to be solid because there's going to be a ton of stuff to do. But also it'll be a big funding moment for them. So for all the people who like aren't interested in buying ships and stuff, definitely take advantage of all the stuff they're going to do in game, because they're going to let you fly ships for free. They're going to have a special expo in the game where you can go and check out some of the upcoming ships. It'll be probably not as great as a performance, but it's a pretty good time. Like overall, the vibes are good. What happened in May 2022? There were a couple things that happened then. May 2022 was a big time for, yeah, it was a big freaking time. I already closed that window, huh? Yeah, I can't bring that back.
add a little bit more space
Stop
to
it.
the room.
Big time for Star Citizen because Elite Dangerous had their Odyssey launch, which ended up with a lot of people coming over to Star Citizen in like a 3-month period right before that, or right in the middle of that almost. B, both Level Cap Gaming and Ollie 43 started covering the game regularly that kind of winter. C, and D and E, Jack Frags was doing regular videos of Star Citizen. And basically, because all that was happening, other people were reacting to it. It was going around the streaming community. There were just a lot of eyes on Star Citizen that year. So obviously their biggest event of the year ended up being much, much bigger. And that same thing's going to happen again soon. You can see it happening. It will. As soon as this game gets stable enough for people like Jack Frags to come back in and play and make good videos and actually have fun, the same thing will happen. And it's not far if server meshing works, but we'll see. Okay, where were we? The Anvil Legionnaire is now white box complete. No requests were made to improve its usability when boarding hostile vessels. The devs are currently exploring options for collapsible cover built into the boarding tunnel. One thing I'm really looking forward to in this upcoming quarter is more explanation about the hacking gameplay that the Anvil Legionnaire basically has to launch with. Like, this is our only sign of hacking in Star Citizen since the longest freaking time ago. I think it was since they dropped a teaser image of the hacking tool maybe a year or two ago. But it was a while back here when they last talked about any form of hacking whatsoever. It's just years. So we'll have to see what they do with that. I hope inside Star Citizen coming up. Did EDB DLC bomb? It didn't really do great. The Odyssey patch was both an important update for them in terms of progress, but also in terms of, I think a lot of players were looking for a big directional push for Elite Dangerous. And unfortunately, when it came out, it just wasn't significant enough, and it did the wrong things. I think a lot of people wanted to be able to walk around on their ships, and it was mainly kind of like a walk around in these hubs kind of thing. An unfortunate name. Yeah, Squadron will bring a lot of people over. Even Summit 1G was playing SC. Yeah, he was just playing last week, right? This week. 317, the greatest patch of all time. Bro, you heard it here first. Okay, elsewhere, Resource Network work has finished our 10 ships. Finished 410 ships. Legacy updates were made to 3 additional ships to support new selection of paints. 10 ships going in the Resource Network. That's not bad. I wonder what kind of rate this happens at. Because if they can get 10 ships in, let's say that work was done over 2 months. 10 ships, 2 months, 5 ships per month. 60 ships, I think, would cover the majority of players. If they went with the 60 most popular ships in the game, that would take them at that rate 12 months. And they're probably going to go faster than 5 ships a month, right? Once they got a knack for it, especially considering variables and stuff. If you can hit 60 of the ships for the Resource Network by the end of this year, that's pretty good for getting them updated. And that means that those gold passes are going to be a lot easier in the future too, if you already have the network going on. What's the Resource Network? That's what drives engineering. Resource Network is everything. Life support, gravity, fuel, coolant, power, data. It's like a pipe system for everything in the game where this stuff travels through. Same thing happens on space stations, cities, outposts. All these things will be tied into the Resource Network. Right now we're just getting it for ships. You doubtful, Scott? It's definitely, it's wishful thinking. But it seems like they've gotten better at updating these ships. I did not think that they'd have them going into master modes altogether like this. And it seems like they've got more people working on the ship side to maybe get Resource Network stuff going on. They've been working on it long enough. We'll have to see. We'll check in on that as well. Audio team usually doesn't have too much to talk about, but this should be a good one. For the upcoming Alpha 323 release, the audio vehicle team completed their first milestone in overhauling these ship audio experiences with new thruster sounds, which is rolling out to all new ships. They said, the goal was to restructure our process of designing and implementing ship thruster audio in order to unify the setup of all ships and streamline our pipeline. This ensures that sound designers will have fewer sounds to design. do sound designers like that? Like, don't you want to design sounds? Or I mean the sounds they're not really are interested in, maybe. Olmec, thank you for the sub. Appreciate you on 15 months. Much love. I'm also kidding. I understand why they wouldn't want more sounds to design. But every asset will have a greater impact that they make. Our objective was to immerse our players in hard-hitting and reactive sounds, resulting in a memorable flight experience, whatever ship they choose to fly. From the audio team. I think the sounds are pretty loud right now. I've only noticed it in the Gladius. But them being loud might actually emphasize the more immersive sound design that they are going to somehow implement into the game. I'm not sure if they're going to do that based on, let's see if we can pull that up. I'm not sure if they're going to do that based on, you know, your ship getting hit, or if you can just flip a switch and get different sound. There are reasons to do both, but I do really like the first one.
Some other quick.
Show you guys what that sounds like.
But it's not just about feeling powerful. Changes in audio can create a sense of danger, of being out on your own and under threat. Here's an example of ship combat.
Right, not just hubs and ED.
Sounds good. But what if we wanted a little more realism? The audio propagation tech that we've been rolling out makes it easier to change the soundscape in real time, and a nice use of that technology is to provide a more realistic option. Here, your own weapons resonate through the hull of the ship. Only what's in the pressurized cockpit is heard clearly, and the threat level feels higher due to the isolating lack of enemy weapon and ship audio.
So this is something that's coming. This was from CitizenCon last year.
Making these changes creates space in the audio, both spectrally and temporally, making impacts seem bigger, more damaging, more of a problem for the player.
I'm guessing this is something we'll see in Squadron first, though.
This realistic mode isn't limited to the flight experience.
Really cool effect. It's going to sound great, especially when you've got like radio chatter going on, and in Squadron you'll have like the music playing. That game, look at what they're doing with all these systems. That game's going to be like playing through a freaking movie. And they've got Jeff Zanelli doing the soundtrack for it. Like, you're playing alongside these A-list actors. It's going to be crazy. It's nuts, especially with the way the trailers looked. I don't know if it's worth all of this, all of what it's gone through to make it. And I certainly freaking hope that the writing is good. But from what I've seen, it looks like it's going to be a spectacular experience, at least. Like, you're definitely going to be immersed. Anyways, that little audio tangent. They are now also using a shared and extensive set of game parameters that modulate different layers in a variety of ways. This, paired with a more extensive matrix of generic assets designed to fit manufacturers, classes, and sizes of ships, results in a much more granular and interactive experience for the player while giving every brand a clear sonic identity. This is supported by bespoke sounds made individually for each ship to give them all unique flavor. That is going to be great. Wouldn't mind if they had different sounds for different manufacturers, like make them similar in each ships, but different in sounds and literally what we're reading. Yeah, I love it when games do that, when they give you really nice variety. Just adds a little bit more identity to it. Finally, for vehicle audio, the devs introduced a very early state of manufacturer-based soundproofing. With this, each brand will have a unique soundproofing profile, heard when players are in first person to further improve immersion. The new thrusters and audio features were rolled out with the Anvil F7A Hornet and will be utilized on every ship going forward, with the team converting older ships periodically. I like that. I like that it's they're talking about it from the first person here, because when you're running through ships right now, you know how like you hear that canned kind of rattly noise of the ship whenever it gets hit by a shot? That's going to be really cool when that sounds different based on your ship. Like when it hits an 890 jump, it sounds solid. Sounds like you're protected, you're good to go. And then it hits like your caterpillar. Sorry, Drake, but you know that's what they're going to do. You can see in the Drake ship the insulation's coming out the side, like it's gonna rattle a little bit, and that'll be pretty cool that comes up. Speaking of sound, good lord, you want me to sing? Okay, for everybody who's about to hear this is because of Frisch. The audio team polished the first ambiance pass for distribution centers while continuing to develop new systemic ambiance. Although this new system is still early in development, the team were also added into the distribution centers, improving ambiance for players at these locations. Alongside this, the team finished their pass on the new features for Alpha 323, including wildlife. I hate you. The community team started the month by celebrating Triggerfish with the announcement of the Misk Raptor, the ultimate weapon in war against garbage. They also supported the April Fool's Arena Commander mode. Could improve on the highs, probably. Community support continued on Overdrive, including the Overdrive Initiative FAQ. Boop-a-da-boop. Yeah. Regarding upcoming updates, the team published the Alpha 323 Patch Watch, which highlights the features and improvements that do not appear on the public roadmap. How many leave when I start singing? Usually averages 40 to 60. The team also supported the live release of the Launcher 2.0. Motherfucker. A full revamp of the application with the ultimate goal of serving as a reliable tool for the community. You can sing blues pretty well. I should probably start just taking lessons so that this is actually a fun experience. Instead of just becoming a moment for my head to get sweaty. All right, has it been 3 minutes now? I need to open the window. Hold on. Thank you very much. Woo! Should I have a hat out? Thank you very much. Asking for change like a street performer? Fucking singing on me. Thank you very much. Good lord. I just slapped myself from the past. Alright. Thank you. Now that I'm done singing, I'm just going to skip the rest of the community part. I love the community, I do, but we're here for the development specifically. Thank you very much. Core gameplay. Let's go. In April, the core gameplay pillar closed out features and prepared them for release in Alpha 323. Thank you for the sub, by the way, Frisch. Is that my reward? Wait, hold on. Isno just gifted out 5 memberships, though. Much love to you, Isno. Thank you. You're a homie. Where were we? A significant amount of time was invested into polishing and bug fixing, as well as reviewing feedback from the community to improve features where possible. We do get some bug fixes here. For example, various improvements were made to weapons, including enabling the interrupting and canceling of backpack reloading and ammo repooling via actions like weapon swap, sprint, and melee. Sometimes I wonder if this is something that was overlooked or if it's something that just didn't have time to get in the first pass. because they say it's in reaction to the community feedback, which is a good look. But is it said because it's a good look? Like, these seem like obvious things, right? Cancel to sprint. And so I you know, not to throw any tinfoil hats on my head, I just wonder, was that something they were eventually going to get to? Support was also added for hit marker sounds, while recoil patterns are now the same for tap firing and holding the fire button. Never, haven't even heard hit marker sounds. Oh, I would ban you, Colt. Let's see. ADS mouse sensitivity is not scaled down for higher FOVs anymore, and weapon bandwidth usage was improved. Okay. For jump points, hey, that's what we like to hear. I love just the fact that we can come across jump point conversation is really nice. It's like a luxury almost. Let's see. I lost it. Completely lost where I was. There we go. The team enabled new fail states if a jump drive detaches or stops functioning, and added tunnel push force from the edges of the map to help players stay on course. They also implemented the first pass of procedurally generated tunnels from design parameters, including randomness to tunnel shapes for variety. Man. Let me give you a peek at what this is actually going to look like. It's quite funny that this is how jumping between systems is actually going. I kind of didn't expect them to stick to the whole, you're getting dragged through the pulsing chasm into the next system, but this is how they're going to do jump points here. The bass is way too loud on this. Actually, that doesn't even give you a great idea of it. That was so fast. Let's go back to CitizenCon 2019.
That's actually a super cool view. See that one? How good that is. That looks awesome. Okay. So going through a wormhole is a little bit like riding the rapids. You don't really have much. You have lateral control,
but it's being on a current.
You're being pushed on a current,
yeah.
And you've got to keep inside the boundaries of the wormhole. And actually, if Sam gets a little close, you'll sort of see interference on his screens. And of course, Stanton's just...
You get the idea. And then they talked about this system. Is there any way? I have to scroll all the way back manually. They talked about the system shortly after. Take a quick look at that. Should be... It's one of these Inside Star Citizens. Here it is. Of course, went on the wrong profile. So here's kind of what they were talking about with the tunnels last time we got an update. Toes.
All day, that still blows my mind. All itself. This is it's a separate scene. Actually, in the game, it's part of an object container, so we stream this in. The kind of we've had like a new entity built. I don't know a great deal about the entity. The awesome part of this is as you're traversing through the wormhole, we're actually going into a completely new system. You know, we're not faking anything here. We're actually traveling to a new system, and even myself working on this every single day, that still blows my mind. I'm still kind of completely taken aback by the technology that we're able to kind of bring with this game. We had Ben Parry, who's one of the graphics engineers in the UK, come in and build us a brand new shader.
There's already a shader that the VFX team has used that's mostly for doing kind of like where you would use a particle effect but you don't want to have one, and that's called VFX transparent. So that has a lot of tweakable, slidery kind of things for them to mess around with. So what we actually did was combine that with a more traditional shader that could do lighting and opaque geometry and that kind of thing. And then threw all that in front of Jake, and he picked out which bits he was actually going to use. So then we just deleted out all the bits that we didn't want to use and then started specializing different parts of it to get the kind of details that he wanted out of it.
You just kind of fly through here and you can see some of the kind of variations that we have to the tunnels. And this is all real time in the end.
So this is a very art-based update.
We're kind of, again,
like they're basically all talking art rather than creation.
And you can see there's lots of kind of cool variations.
I might talk about creation here.
Straight turns. You couldn't do a 90-degree turn because the kayak would 100% crash because it liked the speed I had. But we got feedback constantly that it was like, no, I want more turns, I wanted more up and downs, we got a good reference with Space Mountain, and we looked at a lot of YouTube videos on like that, and roller coasters in general, especially with this like, how you build up to this like, when you go up before you get a free fall. So then Jake and we just talked and made changes to his spline, because obviously that modular set was kind of working then, so we could go to Houdini, which he worked in, move the spline around quickly, export it, which was a little bit...
So this might be the story of how they initially started getting jump point tunnels constructed, and now we're getting the update of how they are getting the tool able to do this itself, procedurally, I guess?
It worked, but then we could get it into
maybe
game and we could test it again.
So what you can see here on the screen is the tunnel route entirely. So it's from start to finish. The way this began is that Tobias in design would go away and he would construct the tunnel out of what we call designer solids, so simple primitives in the engine. And then we would come in afterwards and use Houdini to generate that into a mesh.
My first point I put in my head that I always kept there was like, it needs to be modular built, so it could use our modular tech that we're already building and we're using for like the rest stops.
So you can see this is obviously the kind of final generated mesh, all of the chambers, and also if I zoom in here as well, you'll see the obstacles. Columns are obstacles.
Little chambers in there.
Obstacles that you fly between. They're all procedurally generated.
Yeah, the shape is not
the surface of the tunnel as it builds the mesh.
Great.
And it's all driven by this spline here. So
it actually looks a lot like those seaweeds that have like the bulges in them in different segments.
To build a system that we could
see them at Monterey Bay all the time.
Hundreds of these in the future, or to build more and more of
Can't hear them.
And to also have that flexibility that we needed from design. So design would come online and say, we want like this part of the tunnel to be a 90-degree turn. It's no problem because you can take the spline here, you can move it around. It takes a little while to generate, but you can see how straight away we've got an entirely new route there, and it's procedurally generated the columns across that route, it's procedurally generated the chambers across that route. So we've got a system, hopefully, that's got a lot of flexibility to it. We need to change anything, we need to build anything, it's all there and it's all possible. And actually, in the end, we had an awful lot of support from both the VFX tech team and also a lot of VFX artists on building the final content. So actually what we delivered was a real team.
So that's kind of an update about how they built the initial jump points. And now we're hearing about they're putting together the actual gameplay behind it, design parameters for procedural generation. Pretty cool. What's my opinion on the app or program called Game Glass for use in Star Citizen or other games? I think it's a great opportunity to be able to use different screens to do stuff in a game because the keyboard's only so big, you know? All right, for the resource network and engineering, the team implemented a throttle that manages power in one SCU segments based on the updated UI design. What does that mean? One SCU segments of power. What is that? You use Game Glass, Vastin? Yeah, I think it's a great opportunity, especially if you got mounts for it. Think there's a shortcut you see in the path that straight shots you through Pyro. Additional item power range modifiers were added, which enable extra behaviors currently used for heat generation. This entered optimization for eventual release. Cool, heat is good. For the life support and room systems, the team implemented filters that degrade over time, with the life support generator ceasing to work once all are used up. So there's your usables, your fuel for your life support generator are filters. And you'll have to keep those. That's part of engineering. That right there is part of the regular engineering that a player has to do in keeping a ship running. If you're in a constellation and it's rated for 7 people or 6 people, I think it's maybe 4 or 5 people crew, and you've got 10 people on there, your life support's going to go down faster, and whoever is the allocated engineer or whoever, you know, is on the ship and has filters, you'll have to replace those filters so that people don't start choking to death and dying. Gas propagation now uses accurate positioning within rooms, while atmospheres will equalize differently depending on whether they're high or low atmosphere environments, useful for things like smoke transfer and other stuff like that. In fact, they might have shown us that before. I don't know if I saved that footage. I do remember it. Yeah, here we go. So they were using sign distance fields in 2021 to show how smoke could transfer between rooms based on ventilation. So I think that's part of what they're talking about here. Gas propagation. The technical requirements for crafting were scoped out with design, and room system documentation was updated to enable other teams to better implement their work. April saw continued work on Maelstrom and this radar and scanning feature. Oh man. We don't get to hear about Maelstrom much. It's nice to get a little mention of it and see that they are working on it at least. I like how it's continued work. When did they begin it? Pretty cool though. Good to hear that Maelstrom's getting work, and also radar and scanning. Oh my god, that needs so much work. So much help. Want to know what they're doing about the server issues? Just working towards server meshing, I'm guessing. Each person, yes, has their own oxygen system in their suit. But if you don't have a suit with you, that could be a problem. Or if your suit's low on oxygen. I said game class is pretty cool, Spartacus. I like the idea. Alright, planning continued for the transit refactor as well, and fixes were made for various analytic events not reporting correctly. For Arena Commander, the team began refactoring the spectator module and player component. They also updated how Arena Commander uses comlink notifications and completed a pass over various game modes and rewards for Alpha 323. Changes were made to Pirate Swarm's final wave, which now uses two Idris capital ships. Gun Rush now supports multiple weapon lists controlled by badges that can be randomized from all enabled weapons. VoIP and mute/unmute were added back into Arena Commander 2. Oh yay. Can we fix it, please? Further development was done on the contracts manager, with the team providing code support for cargo hauling missions or missions were added back in, where players can choose between objectives, and general bug fixing was done. I'm really happy to hear the progress on missions. God, we need more missions, more variety, more polished experiences from missions. Adding support for cargo hauling missions is good for the contract manager. That tells me that most of the teams seem to be on the same page and ready to go when it comes to these cargo additions, so probably not too far away. I mean, that doesn't say they're not too far away, but I think with the other stuff that we've seen, they're coming up. Reputation-based hostility was further worked on too. Alongside several issues and improvements, a new neutral zone was added. This is a special restricted area that all players have permission to be in, with NPCs ignoring reputation relationships and criminality and reacting neutrally to everyone. However, access will be revoked for any non-justified hostile act, with everyone else seeing that person as hostile and attacking accordingly. To regain access after hostile actions, the offending player will need to exit the zone and wait a set amount of time before entering again. Remaining inside when hostile or entering before the allotted time will completely reset the timer. I don't like that. I can't say that there is a way to get around doing this for the thing that they want to do, which is basically just make a neutral zone. But the whole... It's really weird when you're in a video game and you're running away from the cops or something and you run around the corner and then like your wanted status goes away and they, like, the same cops that were just chasing you and shooting at you are just like kind of walking around cool with you. I don't know. That's how does this work with reputation? I gotta think about that more. I didn't read that before. For cargo, the core gameplay progressed with freight elevators, item banks, and persistent hangars. That's good. We like some progression there. that wasn't embarrassing. That was a good one. In-game branding team. Last month, the branding and vehicle teams worked closely to create brand identities for upcoming and existing vehicles within the game. They're going hard on the branding stuff. That's good. They also continued to develop an in-house tool for all manufacturers from ships to signage. This will be a versatile and an invaluable tool for everyone working on the game and lead to the unification of the different brands across the game. They're focusing a lot more on this over the last year. It's good to hear. It's also interesting to hear that they're acknowledging inconsistencies in what they had been doing before, and I look forward to seeing how that tightens up. All right, interactables. The team completed their work on fire extinguisher recharge cabinets, including both high-tech and low-tech versions. These will be placed in hangars for convenience and aid in ship fire gameplay. Can I take it from the hangar and, like, does it replenish itself? Can I get unlimited fire extinguishers that way? How does that work? Industrial cargo containers had their final passes for art, including branding and signage, giving them more credibility as cargo container storage. It doesn't look like they put any UI screens on this. Something I was looking out for on these boxes going forward. Are these really that much different from the crates we already have? I do really like the SCU limit. I guess there is some more polish on it for sure in terms of branding. Yeah, I hope that the neutral zone isn't too much of a thing. Cargo variety is good. They're branded. Lighting. Lighting spent time in April polishing distribution centers before moving on to instance hangars and freight elevators, with the aim of making every interaction an engaging event. Cool. Locations team spent April closing out features for Alpha 323. For example, the Sandbox team completed distribution centers, adding the last elements of polish before shipping. The team are looking forward to players getting their hands on these locations, and will be looking for feedback that they can take forward as distribution centers evolve in the future. I think I'm going to do a video on them later on in the summer, because they're a big deal location. I don't normally do like feedback kind of stuff, but I do want to be able to speak towards these locations because I feel like they're going to be really significant for the game going forward. And we got to get industrial gameplay going on there, right? We got to get exploration opportunities there, localized gameplay there, or at least let them know we like that. Large portion of CIG's focus lately has been enacting control features like glint that acts as a flashlight. Understand that focusing on these things is good. They are building a game. I don't think it's supposed to act like a flashlight, at least I hope not, but they are implementing a lot of balance. Yeah. Do you like that CIG wants players to regulate themselves, but limiting gameplay options to do so might be detrimental? Yep. 323 is not live yet, no. Sandbox team. They're currently working on finalizing the last few outposts going into Pyro for Alpha 3. Whoa. Whoa. If I say the word alpha without even paying attention, my mind automatically starts saying 3 point something. Like my eyes saw Alpha 4.0, but my brain said 3 point, and then I stopped myself. These last 6 years have been, woo! I'm gonna have to see a therapist about that. Kidding, I'm kidding. But they completed the last few outposts going into Pyro for Alpha 4.0 while supporting other locations teams with their tasks for upcoming patch releases. Good to hear that. It's actually really funny that we're reading stuff like that because they wanted freaking Pyro to be in so long ago. The Pyro we're getting now, I'm assuming, is much different than it would have been a few years ago, but damn. I got it. It's been a little while. I look forward to seeing what they've done with outposts in Pyro. They were already pretty cool when we saw the tech preview in November, but clearly they're getting a lot more time to work on it. Oh, I haven't even heard about SCL yet. We'll cover it on Monday. Mission design. This is where the good stuff is. Last month, mission design continued to polish content for Alpha 323, including Xenothreat and fauna-related missions. They also made quality of life improvements to missions, including missing persons, and supported content for distribution centers. I think the missions team is going to drive a lot of this game's development. Like, more and more. We have a lot of sandbox elements. They need to definitely build up the mission selection, and I think that might be a big focus for them. Because we haven't seen the investigation missions yet, right? We've got the bounty hunting rework coming up. We've got cargo missions coming in. We still haven't gotten those mining missions they're doing. We know we have a new dynamic event with Blockade Runner. We're getting a revamped Xenothreat. Pyro is going to have its own unique mission set and stuff. I really, yeah. They're going hard in the paint. I look forward to seeing how they've been working because they've been doing a lot of work. Mrs. Tomato knows everything and all you need to know. Or are you telling Mrs. Tomato you know everything and all you need to know? I don't know. I agree with the first one, though. Looking forward to this. Work was done on the new contracts manager to ensure it has all the existing functionality alongside improvements. They also made the commodity update journal entry a lower priority notification and reassessed what missions notify players when they are available. I'd love to know why they choose which missions notify players. It seems a little bit rare, or a little bit random, but I'd like to know the logic behind it. Also, thanks for downgrading that commodity update journal entry. That was just... I don't think it's going to matter until the prices are more dynamic anyways. Further bug fixing was done for Overdrive Initiative. Yay! The team then used the extra time until the cargo updates to add additional high-quality content and further polish the cargo hauling and kill and collect missions. Again, key to note, they are getting time to polish this content. That's what we were looking for after this update, right? We wanted to make sure that the delay that's happening for this update means that what we're getting when it actually comes out is a better experience than what it would have been. Don't just put it away and release it in a month, you know? So I hope this holds true. Higher quality content, further polish going into cargo hauling is good to hear. Let's hear what the team actually said about it. The various shipping companies of Stanton often outsource cargo hauling to freelancers through contracts. These job board missions task the players with picking up the designated cargo shipment at one or more locations and offloading it at one or more locations. These are basically our box missions. At their core, these missions will test the player's knowledge of their ship's specs and their ability to weigh the time spent loading and traveling against the payout. I think that emphasizes that these missions are going to be a lot like our combat missions, where they tell you what you have to handle, but not what to bring. maybe they're going to say like, oh, you should probably have a medium-sized ship for this because it's pretty heavy. But they're not going to tell you, hey, your MSR is not going to fit this. You might want to bring your I don't know, your whole B, whatever fits just a little bit more than the MSR. That's super freaking good. God, yes. I love that. I also want to, man. So this also seems like it's pointing towards things like control surfaces, VTOL flight, maybe the range that your ship has. Like maybe you have a shorter range ship. You shouldn't take this certain mission, but it's not going to tell you that until you take the mission and you set up your route, right? Maybe you don't want to do deliveries down to planets because it's inefficient for your ship. You don't have VTOL thrust. So that's the kind of stuff they won't tell you that makes these missions more interesting, especially when they start running into emergent gameplay and stuff that comes up, pirates or maybe a distress beacon that you come across during your mission. This is going to be, I'm so excited for this. I did a video on this. I'll get to that in a minute or two. It's up on the YouTube channel. I'm probably going to redo the thumbnail to make it a little more interesting. But it talks about this whole kind of cargo rework that they're doing and how it's supposed to try and change the industrial gameplay. The mission team continued to say they will see the player transport goods back and forth to various jump points, low Earth orbit stations, Lagrange points, landing zones, and distribution centers. These goods consist of various commodities and vehicles of real value, allowing players to get a rudimentary sense of what it will be like to have a hauling career. This is actually the beginning of cargo hauling, thank God. Simultaneously, this represents our first step towards implementing the logistical structure of the verse in a tangible, playable form prior to a quanta-controlled system. This was the biggest line of the monthly report to me because quantum simulation is so fleeting getting to hear about it. We talk about it a lot on this stream. I just released a video about this actually. It was supposed to release yesterday, and then they released this update about the monthly report. So I was like, oh, I need to update my video. But you can find it here on the main page. Obviously, it's not just about Tony Z, but Tony Z is a big topic of the economy and the simulation and all that. So he's on the cover. But the whole thing is about, first, the economy updates we're seeing in 3.23, at least that have been confirmed, which are ship prices. And then how those are going to change over the next few updates, as well as obviously a section talking about just kind of what the heck is the quantum economy, where is it, all that kind of jazz. I will drop the link for you in the chat if you want to watch this later on after the stream, if you haven't caught it already. And then the other video I was talking about, the cargo one, is here. This is all about basically these cargo changes that they're going to be releasing in 323.x and why they are releasing them the way they are. Yeah, don't melt your Freelancer Max. That thing's going to be useful. Is it Quanta or Quantum? The simulation is called Quantum. The data points inside the simulation are called Quanta. So you can say that it is a Quanta-controlled system, or you could say it's Quantum. It's confusing, though. Like, the fact that they chose the names the way they did is just super confusing. And the fact that you can call it a quanta-controlled system makes people want to call it the quanta simulation, even though it's the quantum simulation, but it's a quantum simulation that uses quanta, so it's kind of a quanta simulation. It's just like, why? Yeah, one quanta is quantum. So they literally also call the data points in the simulation a quantum, but they are also quanta. It's getting renamed. I believe it. I believe they'll do that. Like, I have no doubt that eventually they will rename this simulation because it's not worth it. Calm Calamity, you just watched the video and ended up here? How was it? It wasn't a response to a player question, seriously. Just them trying to own the word quantum, which is silly. Either way, we'll see where it goes from here. Simulation is living strong, though, from all the messaging we've been getting. It's going to be in the game. They've just been waiting for the back-end kind of actual small pieces of the economy to come together to make it. Sounds like it's happening though. Narrative team. April was a very busy month for the narrative team, who worked hard preparing for the Alpha 323 patch. See, these are all those things that we're hearing in May that we're not going to hear in June. We're going to be all hearing about the next stuff in June. This included crafting. Oh, I guess we'll hear some Invictus launch week and Alien week kind of stuff. Yeah. This included crafting new distribution center missions, creature hunting missions, polishing the new UI layouts, and reworking hint text alongside bug fixing. I'm glad the hints are better at telling you what to actually do, instead of like that little text glitch they get that obviously is just for decode or debug. Looking ahead, the team helped with the upcoming Invictus launch week, making sure everything is ready for players to visit in-game. This was a particular focus on the narrative design team, who looked at the NPCs attending the event. The team also spent time working on cargo gameplay, providing UI and mission support. Additionally, the narrative team did a lot of planning and pre-production work for Star Citizen 1.0, detailing the scripts and assets that will be needed for its release. This included looking at legacy work done in the game's early releases and analyzing how best to update it to meet current standards. I bet you anything that they're going over Tessa Bannister's missions for that. Those will be in Star Citizen 1.0. Remember, just because they're mentioning this stuff does not mean it's anywhere near soon. They're literally planning and doing pre-production for it. Still years away. This is just the narrative team obviously is going to be the ones who are deciding what the background of missions and stuff are, so they're getting started on it right now. Why is Danger Zone keep playing? What? Why did they name the economy system after a pretty expensive wine? Because the economy runs on wine. In Stanton, at least. Alright, another batch of lore also went up on the website, including a Mirai portfolio, an excellent batch of new Galactopedia entries, and Whitley's Guide to the Drake Vulture. Nice. Online technology. After several sprints, the online services team completed their refactor of the social services backend. This involved porting the services to gRPC, as well as making updates related to server meshing. Online services also completed work related to EAC anti-cheat in preparation for enabling the enforcement of sanctions. This is currently going through the first round of QA testing. The team also supported Alpha 323 for bug fixing and helping triage performance issues. I hope that the anti-cheat stuff doesn't get too heavy. He's a rebel. Over the past month, the Live Tools team worked to ensure compatibility between the Network Operations Center and Hex, and the modifications being made on the service side for Alpha for version 323. They're also implementing new modules to assist different types of users. The Hex tool is used for quite a few different things, but one of the most interesting parts of Hex is actually that it's used to track your reputation. It's kind of important for making sure that players actually progress through the game. And you can find the best look at it by going to Turbulent's website, which they have a really nice website. You should visit it. Turbulent, by the way, is a studio owned by Cloud Imperium Games. They've been working in the industry for quite some time, 20 plus years. But they also work in other industries like film and just general tech. They just are a tech-focused company that builds solutions for art firms, kind of. They've worked with Star Citizen and Cloud Imperium Games for like 10 plus years, and they like it, and CIG likes them, and they've done a lot of work for like the website and server meshing and all that, so they bought them. And one of the things that they've been building is, or at least helping to build, is the reputation tracking tool Hex. I think it tracks quite a few different things, but you can see here that there are affinity ratings here, how they're changing over time. You can see all of that inside of the gamer's profile. Bounty hunter, affinity, security, reputation, and yeah, so this is an internal tool. Obviously, we don't use this, but this is kind of what they use to monitor that reputation and continue to build it in the back end. So whenever you see them talk about Hex, it's that. I think it also holds the interface for like Odin and Quantum and stuff. All right. R&D. R&D spent April supporting Alpha 323. For example, the half-resolution render node was updated to accompany the new cloud rendering improvements and the introduction of ground fog. This mode serves as a good compromise between quality and performance and will be superseded by the temporal render mode, which is still work in progress. What happened to that sound editing tool they were working on, Claudius? They're still working on it. Probably going to implement it at some point. Maybe the new stuff they've been doing with audio is part of that. Improvements include the cleaner rendering of silhouettes and foliage, less blurry results from orbit, and better low discrepancy sampling. Due to these improvements, the decision was made to alter the very high spec of settings for clouds to use the half-resolution render mode and increase the number of ray marching steps. As a result, players will see more consistent and less noisy cloud rendering, similar to the new photo mode quality settings, so they're improving the very high setting as well. This is at reduced GPU cost compared to the previous very high spec settings. This will hopefully allow more people to enjoy the new high fidelity rendering improvements in-game. Go to 10pound42 to see some good results on that. He's always got great testing there. Additionally, further support was given to the rendering team to roll out PSO caching and request collection to eliminate PSO cache redundancies and certain shader flags for vertex position and texture coordinate modification. I don't know what that means. This is to minimize the number of shaders and PSOs needed to run the game. Okay, sure. Support was also given for various Vulkan issues that were revealed during PTU playtesting. Longer term, work progressed on the temporal render mode, which they talked about earlier. All confidence metrics, which are used to decide whether to keep history data after reprojection, now also factor in scene motion and depth. The temporal render mode was also tested against the various temporal upsampling solutions supported by the renderer. Hui, okay. R&D it's a lot. Let's get to tech animation. The tech animation team continued to generate and implement new head assets to the DNA gene pool, and are not far from completing the initiative of 40 heads for each gender. Ooh, nice. That's a lot of heads. That's 80 heads, huh? Many devs are currently dealing... Zoster, thanks for the 14 months on sub on Twitch, my friend. Appreciate you, much love. Where was I? Many devs are currently dealing with the complications of players and NPCs putting on and taking off clothes live in the engine. Oh no, who would have thought? They said, this has been ongoing for some time, and with the addition of animation resources into the mix, we are seeing great headway in both generating the assets for animation and generating usable pipelines to expedite the entire process for everyone involved. You gotta get your clothes on and off. Additionally, the team are intrinsic in the creation and implementation of new creatures for both the PU and Squadron 42. They're also involved in work towards consumables and the setup of foodstuffs. Love some foodstuffs. With the team aiming to guide the initiative and promote time-saving workflows. Yeah, like, how many different types of pizza can you guys make? Lastly, they continue to support Alpha 323, ensuring content is integrated, tested, and ready for players. All right. Technical design. We got tech animation and tech design now. Technical design provided general tech support for Alpha 323, including fixing bugs and affecting doors and fuel tanks not exploding in the new distribution centers. For ships, iteration was done on weapon balance. An AI followed director feedback. For the latter, an easier AI behavior was created for use in very easy and introductory missions. Okay, so kind of making it a little easier for new players, maybe. A call to action prompt was added to the elevator panels of multiple ships, and an issue preventing players from getting out of bed in the MISC Freelancer was fixed. For Arena Commander, work continued on the resource network game mode, including enabling doors without power to be openable but not closable, to prevent players from being trapped. So tech design is doing a lot of that kind of fixing of big issues stuff. UI. In April, the Montreal-based team focused on the cargo feature and worked closely with core gameplay on the resource network mandate, which included getting wireframes signed off. It will begin creating mock-ups soon. Huh. In the UK, the UI team added the final touches to the new UIs for the visor, mobiGlass, and maps. They added the final missing features such as the chat window and the law widgets too. Updates were also made based on player feedback, such as reducing the hologram effect on the HUD and bringing back differently shaped quantum travel markers. Oh god, thank you. That was not great. The team spent time polishing visuals and bug fixing as well. Again, this is something that I'm like, did they really need us to tell them that? Or were they already planning on fixing that at some point? And look at this. We have spoken about the HUD and the holographic features, the double text. Everybody made an uproar and they've made some changes to it. They also acknowledged that in Inside Star Citizen, I think last week. So like, you know, they listen. They get there. VFX. Last little bit, VFX. Last month, the VFX team focused on bug fixing for the upcoming patch. This involved playtesting the game to find major issues that needed solving immediately or identifying smaller issues that were safe enough to fix without risking creating other bugs. They also worked closely with graphics and Planet Tech to ensure that supporting effects for water were working as expected and not too expensive. They also worked on a variety of vehicles for an upcoming release. That is your April 2024 monthly report in some level of detail. We were more detailed towards the beginning, but a good one. There's some good stuff in here. As always, the core gameplay section has a lot of great stuff, but mission design also has some great stuff to say, it seems like every month. I think that next month's will be even juicier because we'll have 322 in the past. Like if you're getting updates on stuff you've already seen in ISC and even in our own videos, it doesn't hit as hard. That's part of the Star Citizen cycle. Until you can play a game that's really fun, you get excited about what's coming next. It's not as easy to get as excited about it if you've already played it and seen it. So next month's I think will be a lot better because we'll be reading 4.0 stuff. We'll be reading about stuff they're working on for the summer. And I guess some polish on the stuff they're talking about here. We'll also probably hear some good ship stuff since we'll be seeing, what, Alien Week right then? Polaris in the Invictus trailer video. Did they release the Invictus trailer? All right, we'll watch the Invictus trailer. That was your monthly report, though. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, or if you're live on the chat, and say that here too. I'm excited for it though. It's looking good. Until next time. Okay. Just pause that. Let's check out the Invictus trailer and see what they've shown us. We'll watch it through one time, and then if there's anything I wanted to comment on, we'll come back through it so we can all kind of soak it in. There's no way they're launching the Polaris for Invictus Week. Are they? I think they'll probably have it flying around. Jesus, they really... You see what I mean? You see what I mean? If they get a Polaris in the game in any way, they're going to put it in every possible shot they can. But they never quite make it very clear. I mean, it's definitely the Polaris. All right, May 17th. There it is again, looking massive. They're just gonna put beards in every shot now. All right, we got a schedule drop. Thank you, Valis. Be a part of the biggest Invictus celebration yet. Join the celebration from May 17th to the 29th. Oh. As our annual military expo and free fly event, Free Fly, 12 days, returns to Area 18 on ArcCorp. Okay, confirmed where it's going to be. Test fly the finest naval-inspired ships, catch first looks at brand new concepts in development, and get up close and personal with new ships and vehicles ready to make the universe more hospitable now. Plus, you can tour an in-service Aegis Idris and witness the entire fleet spearheaded by the RSI Polaris fly through Stanton. So, there you go. RSI Polaris probably just be flying around. Idris will be boardable. Concepts, of course, will be there in holographic form, and we're probably going to get new ships and vehicles. I'd say 2 new ships, 1 new vehicle, maybe. Our schedule is May 17th to the 18th. RSI, Origin, CNOU, and Argo. May 19th to the 20th, Misk, Crusader, Tumbrel, and Mirai. May 21st to the 22nd, Aegis. May 23rd to the 24th, Anvil. May 25th to the 26th, Drake likes to do their own thing off-site because they don't get invited. It's all a lore thing. And then the 27th, 28th, and 29th are the finale. So basically on these days, you'll be able to rent all of the ships, military-wise at least, from any of these ships. I'm not sure if it's all of the ships, but definitely all their military ships. You'll be able to get in and get them for free. If you don't own the game, you can play the game for free. If you do own the game, all the ships will still be free for rental. Overall, this is going to just be a celebration of ships. Come in, enjoy them. Don't buy any if you're not comfortable. And see what the game has to offer during that. But yeah, that's Invictus Week. Starting in a couple of weeks. Because they had to get the patch out in time for it, as we knew. But yeah, the Polaris is finally showing up in engine. We're definitely getting close. And they're going to keep brushing it off and dragging it out for every video. Be a part of something bigger. Polaris and Idris as an in-game props and non-flyable at ILW. Yeah, the Idris won't be flyable, but it does seem almost ready. But I don't think the Polaris is coming out, no. Somebody's going to try and hijack it, though. We'll see how that works out. Medical Ursa. I didn't even see an Ursa. That might be the vehicle that's coming, I guess. Where is it? Right here? Definitely. Oh yeah, there's a little UV light thing right here. That's not on the original one. God, Scott. Yeah, that light's not normally there. Medical Ursa confirmed. No, it's not a C8R. You can see the wheels of the Ursa right here, and then if you back up in the scene, you can see it right here too. Let's see. See if we can ping him to confirm. There he is. Let me go, be right back. There he is. So that's Invictus Week and the monthly report. Good funsies. What is this? Oh, shoot. There's a lot of Polaris, yeah. Fun song. They just like put a cow in there. Definitely a Chris Pine looking fellow. Can you shoot cows? I would assume so. There are indeed going to be cows, and they do probably get shot to some extent. Like if you were to aim and shoot. Had a small org run of a DC last night. Way too much fun. May get together for it again. Plus some more. Man, Signusian makes this game sound so fun. Can you milk them? We're not going to test that. Right? Sorry about it. What happened in Star Citizen Live? Somebody said it was good. I know it was with GII, man. Of course. Who else gonna run a DC run that good? Oh, that sounds like fun. They confirmed no 323 today. Is that all? "17 seconds, new Argo." It wasn't the Argo with the, what's it called? With the tractor beam on it? Something to celebrate from last weekend for this weekend. No crappy constant server crashes. Yeah, that's true. What do you guys have to celebrate this week? Anything you guys are extra proud of that happened this week? Good news? Good developments? Milestones? They're going to wipe AUEC. Yeah, AUEC and rental ships, I believe it said. Still not sure about ships. They said rentals, but that doesn't make any sense. People talk about game engines being outdated, don't know how game engines are made. You think UE5 was built from the ground up? Yeah, it was a completely new project for them. Why would they wipe just rentals? Those time out anyways. What would be the point? As a gotcha? But yeah, maybe he meant bought ships. They're like, haha, you made the bad decision of renting this ship in the last 2 days. Boom, it's gone. Got him. Well, yeah, ships and wallet would actually be a pretty big deal wipe, especially when they're raising the prices of ships. Really need to get in and confirm that that mission payouts didn't actually go up that much. But as we play through the patch, we'll confirm. Saving full wipe for 4.0, I can imagine. I feel like once they wipe for 4.0, we won't see another wipe for a while. We've been waiting for the 4.0 wipe for years now, right? Like 3 years we've been waiting for 4.0 wipe to kind of reset the bar and know that things are probably going to be pretty persistent after that. Because then you got the server meshing infrastructure in, you know? How many more times do they have to wipe everything? Maybe wallet, maybe ships. But it seems like they want it to be a pretty persistent environment where they can tell people, hey, yeah, you're kind of playing the game at this point. You'll be a poor man ship-wise. I'm with you. I mean, I'll have a decent amount of ships, but I don't really plan on using them. I'll probably melt all of them to try and just consolidate to one good thing that I can fly around with some friends. And stick it to that. What was the state of the wipe? Sounds like ships and wallet. If it's going to go from road to 4.0 to road to 1.0, 4.0 is going to be like an unofficial beta. I think so. I think something like a 4.10 would be kind of like an unofficial beta. But they're laying the plan down, the roadmap. Sounds like they're going to give us a look at that roadmap sometime in the next couple of months. So I look forward to hearing what their plan is for a 1.0 launch and what they want to, or no, I'm sorry. They said they're going to have everything leading up to the end of this year in a couple months. So I look forward to seeing what they want to do for the rest of the year. All right, my friends, that's about it for today. I don't quite have enough time to go over the Star Citizen Live, so I'll do that on Monday. Tomorrow we will be doing some gameplay. Gonna be getting together with the org, so anybody who's in GII, keep an eye out. I might do like an event post on the Discord, but if I don't, I will probably at least make some kind of announcement that I'm getting the people together to do something in 323 PTU. So if you do want to come join us and play, we'll come up with something fun to do in the PU, and I will see you all there. If you're not part of this, the org, make sure to join. ! Org should make it pop up, and you can get in and get yourself situated, get on the Discord, introduce yourself, say hi, and jump in with us tomorrow. We have events running almost every day when the game is a little bit more active, and they're pretty cool people. A lot of them are here in chat, so you'll kind of be amongst familiar folks. Hopefully you can join Sig. Hopefully. Hope you guys had a good time today. Remember to check out that new video. It's a hot one talking about the quantum economy. Quite proud of it. And have a lovely day, everybody. Enjoy yourself. Be great people. Eat something delicious. Drink some tea, maybe something else hot. And do something sneaky with your life. Not too sneaky. Like, above the board sneaky. But good people sneaky. Have fun with it. Enjoy yourselves. Have a lovely weekend. I'll see you tomorrow. Cheers, folks. Bye.